Good morning, Bill. Great to see you. Good morning, Billy D. Boy, you're usually 6 o'clock is 5 o'clock for you now. 6 a.m. is now 5 a.m. I was thinking of you just this morning, actually. Thinking the West Coast is going to have to start getting up at 5 a.m. to come and hang out. Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, Derek. Good morning. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, all of you that didn't forget it's daylight savings time. Good morning. I had completely forgotten. And I woke up yesterday morning and I had lost an hour. They grabbed an hour from me. I'm looking at two different clocks. The one on my phone says one thing and the one on my stove said another. And I'm like, oh, did we skip forward? And I went and looked it up, and sure enough, March 8th was the skip forward day. I had not remembered that. Ruffy didn't mind. Ruffy's, that means I get to eat an hour early. They stole an hour, Derek. They, the big they. Ruffy's like, can we do another one? I'm not a fan either, exception. One of these days, they'll stop. They've tried 100 different times in Congress to get that changed, but they're not changing it anytime soon from what I read this weekend. There's not a big push to change it. But Ruffy wants it changed. Ruffy's like, can we do another one? Right? No. I was like, can we do another skip forward? He doesn't like the fall one, the fall back, where you have to wait an extra hour to eat. But he sure doesn't mind the skip forward. He doesn't mind that at all. Are we going to skip forward again today, Pops? I'm like, no, kid. No. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, everybody. Don't forget to hit your chat options and switch it from top chat to all chat. Don't be forgetting. Trying a different music this morning. I'm not sure I'm in love with it yet. I'm not sure. Good morning, Wazzy from the Glitch Town. Good morning, Glitchy. Just one of the many texts. Justin might just be a conspiracy theorist. Just might be. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Aaron. I have thought out, yes, I have. However, Thursday night I was with Miss Rose, and I said, well, it looks like that's the last of our snow. I'm looking forward to spring And she said, you haven't lived in Michigan long enough. I go, what do you mean? She goes, there's going to be another snow. I go, no, there's not. And she said, it always snows in April. Yesterday I'm looking at the weather report, the forecast. Sure enough, it's forecast for snow coming this Thursday. Sure enough, we're supposed to get another round of snow, according to the forecasters. Just when you think it's over, just when you think you're thawed out. Is that the same? Herbie never argued. Well, I definitely didn't argue. I let her educate me. Same, Niffy? It's a false spring, Greenie. You know about it. She knew about a false spring. I fell for it. The false spring faked me out. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm so glad the snow's over for this season. She said, not so fast, my furry friend. Okay? Nerd, you have a big one last week. Do you get a false spring, though? Evidently, it's kind of a known phenomenon here in Michigan. False spring. That's a good way to put it, Greenie. The initial warm-up, it'll get cold again, then spring will come. 3 snows on a robin's back. Oh, I like that. I like that. So when the robin, after the 3rd snow on the robin's back, there, Wisconsin saying, okay, we can warm it up now. Derek Anderson in Massachusetts had an April Fool's storm. Exception, she's a Michigan veteran. She says it's going to go back and forth March and April. Huh. Interesting. This is I just went through my 6th winter here. 6 winters in Michigan. I sure like Michigan. I sure like this state. And I don't mind the mercurial weather. I don't mind the lake effect. Since we have moved, I live so close to one of the Great Lakes in the Detroit River. Detroit River is about 4 miles from my house. And it feeds right into Lake Erie. And it runs between Lake Huron and Lake Erie. With the Lake St. Clair and the St. Clair River in between. Fascinating. Nature's fascinating. Nature's so fascinating, we're going to talk about it today. We talk about nature here a lot, don't we? Good morning, everybody. It's a wonderful, wonderful morning to see all of you. Thank you for those that are here and those that aren't. And those that are listening and lurking, ninja listening, and those that will watch later. Thank you. Who thinks that the body is amazing? Nature's my religion too, Niffy. I don't even call it my religion. I call it my belief system. I don't even want to use the word religion. It's such a misused word anyways. It's come to mean some kind of an institution, and that's not the original meaning of the word religion. Religion just means to do something over and over and over again. Religare. We do tea with pops religiously, not as a religion, but we do it over and over and over again. You guys want to hear some fascinating stuff about your body? I'm going to start out with that. Thank you for the PSA, Herbie. PSA, public service announcement coming from the moderator. Lightning fast, the brain's speed is beyond belief. Your brain is a speed demon, processing images in just 13 milliseconds. Literally faster than the blink of an eye. A blink of an eye takes between 100 to 400 milliseconds. And your brain is processing images in 13 milliseconds. That's over 30 images in the time it takes to reopen your eyes after a blink. 30 images. Blink, there they went. That was 30 images. Who knew you were a turbocharged supercomputer fueled by snacks rather than electricity? Who knew? The data your brain handles, 11 million bits per second. 11 million bits per second. You're only consciously aware of about 50 bits per second. Did you know that your brain outpaces the fastest cameras in imaging processing, proving that the original hardware is still king? Crazy brains. Justin's like, so physically we can't be back in a jiffy, but our brains are already back before they left. Steel bones. Nature's toughest frame. Your bones are as strong as steel, but 5 times lighter. Our bones are as strong as steel, but 5 times lighter. A cubic inch of human bone can handle 19,000 pounds, equal to 5 pickup trucks. And unlike steel, bones heal themselves, with your skeleton replacing itself every 10 years. You're a complete new skeleton every 10 years. You're a true marvel of engineering. Comparable to steel under compression, your bones. 5 times lighter. Daily calcium turnover between 0.01 and 0.02 ounces. Complete renewal every 10 years. What's the hardest bone in your body? Take a guess. Hardest bone in your body. What do you think it is? Give me a couple of quick guesses. No Google, no Google. No Google, no Google. Just take a guess. The hardest bone in your body. Bill says skull. Probably skull. A bunch of you are sculling it up out there. Hardest bone in your body. Captain Obvious, good morning. She says femur. What do you think it is? Knuckles. Oh, nerdy in the knuckles. Aaron's going hip. Your hardest bone in your body is the jawbone. There you go, Wazzy. It's the jawbone, making your bite tough as it sounds. The jawbone. Those of you that said skull, I mean, I almost have to give it to you because the skull, isn't the jawbone just sort of part of the skull? Your jawbone. Heart power. The body's ultimate pump. Your heart is your own personal superhero. This fist-sized powerhouse pumps 2,000 gallons of blood daily and can squirt it up to 30 feet, beating over 100,000 times a day. It tirelessly delivers oxygen and nutrients to the rest of your body, working harder than any machine. without ever taking a break. 100,000 beats a day. In its lifetime, pumps enough blood to fill, wait for this. You guys ready for this? In an average lifetime, it pumps enough blood to fill 3 super tanker ships. Pumps enough blood to fill 3 super tanker ships. Wow. In color, it's dark brown with yellow fat deposits, not bright red as commonly depicted. Did you know engineers study the heart's mechanics to create more efficient pumps? Proving that nature still beats modern technology. Give me 5 people that think these are cool factos. Pops, read us a couple more cool factos this morning. Anybody ready for a couple more? Give me 5 people. Give me 5 people that want a couple of more facto McBodios. Okay, let's do it. McBodio factos. Greenie, our bodies are amazing. Let's do it. Let's read a couple more, Lynette. Color vision. Your eyes are like detectives of the light world. Thanks to cone cells in your retina, you can see an amazing spectrum of colors. These photoreceptor cells specialize in detecting red, green, and blue light, blending them to create millions of shades. Another fun fact, some rare individuals with a bonus type of cone cell, which are called tetrachromats, can see 100 million colors. 100 million. Making them the superheroes of color vision. The average person can see 10 million shades of color. Which color are we best at seeing? I'm going to give you 3, red, green, or blue. Which one? Take a guess. No Google, no Google. Which one? Which color are we best at seeing? We got red here, we have green, we have red, and we have blue. Which are we best at seeing? Which of the colors? Those of you that said green are correct. Green. We're best at detecting green. But typically we're detecting 3 major primary colors, red, green, and blue, and then we're blending them all and coming up with 10 million shades. In your eye, there are cone cells. 6 to 7 million of them. 6 to 7 million cone cells in your eye. Your eyes are so advanced that their design inspires breakthrough in camera and screen technology. Amazing. When do you start realizing you have fingerprints? Or not you personally realizing, but when does your body start to exhibit its unique fingerprint? How old are you? 4? 5? 6? How old do you think you have to be? And then you look at your hands and you're, oh wow, I'm starting to grow fingerprints. I'm starting to grow fingerprints. How old are you? B.G. Kellogg Negative 8 months. Wazzy says it happens in utero. There he goes being smart again. He and Kello. Your identity starts before birth. Before birth. More specifically, on your fingertips. Fingerprints form during the 3rd month of fetal development. 3rd month of fetal development. And are always unique, even for identical twins. Your fingerprints are so unique that not even an advanced cloning has been able to copy them. These ridges, whether loops or whorls or arches, stay for life, growing with you as your personal stamp of individuality. Formation starts during the 3rd month of fetal development. Your fingerprints are fully formed by the 6th month of pregnancy. You come out already completely identified. Fingerprints never change. They only grow larger. Even if fingerprints are damaged, they grow back in the exact same pattern, making them the ultimate identity marker. Fingerprints are pretty freaky. We'll read one more facto, and then I have a neat article to read to you. You know what? During my working with my hobby of making models, I've had super glue that gets stuck to my hands, and then I'll peel off the super glue, and my fingerprint comes with it. Like, I can look at the little chunk of fingerprint of super glue, I go, wait a minute, that's my fingerprint on there. And about a week later, I look back at my fingertips, and my fingerprints have regrown. Fingerprints freak me out. Your body's the busiest factory on Earth, producing wait, are you ready for this? It produces 3.8 million new cells every second. 3.8 million new cells every second. I still want to know who counted. These cells continually replace old ones, keeping you healthy and energized. With over 200 types, your body's renewal machine works tirelessly day and night. Daily, you replace 330 billion cells. In the time it takes you to brush your teeth, your body has created 300 million new cells. Wow. Things that make you say, wow. Let me ask you a question. After reading some of these things about our glorious bodies, do you think we should respect them more? I sure should. I gotta respect my body more. What an amazing, amazing, amazing creatures. What amazing creatures we are. Just blessed to be alive. Amazing creatures we are. Quick question to the group. Who likes Terence McKenna? Philosopher King. Who likes Terence? Have you guys read any Terence McKenna in your readings? You gotta sprinkle in Alan Watts and Terence McKenna. Old Terry. I wonder if we were allowed to call him Terry, or you had to say Terrence. Terrence McKenna, what an amazing brain on a human being. And quite a pioneer. Am I right? Terrence McKenna's daughter, Clea McKenna. It's spelled Klea. Not Flea, but Clea. That's a cute name. I like it. For 25 years, she lived her own life while the internet turned her dad into a fractal-wrapped meme. Now she's shifting through his journals, letters, and recordings herself. Not to mythologize him, but to let the material speak for itself. We asked Clea what finally pulled her into the archive. What has surprised her most in Terrence's personal letters, and which of her father's ideas deserve a more critical look? Who wants to hear the article? Who wants to hear what Clea has to say? Give me 5 people. Pops, that should be interesting. You're living with a legend. You grew up with a legend, and you watch the world mythologize your father. You know the real man, and you actually have his actual writings. You have letters he's written, etc. You've got this complete archive of the things your dad has written. Amazing. We forget when we think about these great pioneers that they have children. What's Clea have to say? Have a great day, nerds. What made you decide now is the time to dive into your archiving of your father's work? Clea says, I always knew I'd have to manage his legacy in some way. For 25 years, it has haunted me as this looming job I didn't feel ready for. I already have a calling, which is to be an artist, not an archivist. So I focused on that. I got a master's degree, built my art career, and I had 2 kids. Decades just slipped by. Recently, a couple things shifted. One is a growing awareness of my own mortality and immortality. My dad died when I was 19, and my mom is 77 now, and I have my own kids. So I'm thinking about what people leave behind and how you make it meaningful. I always knew legacy was important to Terrence. He lived with this heightened, almost literary self-awareness. What young people now call main character energy. He made choices as though he were a hero in a book, writing the story as it happened. Little things in the archive reinforce that. He'd write captions on the back of snapshots about himself in the third person, or he'd Xerox a letter before he sent it. There's also a practical side. My dad's intellectual work is an asset our family has never leveraged. It occurred to me that in such unstable times, his work might help care for his family, even in his absence. So it seemed like the right time to revive Lux Natura, a company my parents founded in 1976, while also honoring his legacy and updating it for a new era. And on a personal level, it took growing into a new level of confidence. Doing anything publicly with his work invites scrutiny from fans who are attached to their version of him. 15 years ago, that would have stopped me. It doesn't anymore. What's been the most surprising or moving thing you've uncovered so far in the journals, manuscripts, or recordings? Clea replies, The first thing was the depth of his relationship with his mother. She died when he was in his early 20s, so I never knew her. But the whole family held her up as this golden person. What surprised me was how close they were and how openly they communicated. He was remarkably honest with her about his lifestyle. She was a smart housewife in small town Colorado, and he's in Berkeley doing all these drugs, having these crazy ideas, and he doesn't conceal any of it. She really tries to keep up with who he's becoming. When he'd write about theories, she'd say, "I don't really understand, but I'll look up the book you mentioned." And the next week she'd write back saying she'd found it at the library and read the whole thing. For who they were and how disparate their subcultures were, that's a pretty amazing level of intellectual engagement. I'm also reaching out to key friends of his to see if they have his letters. Luis Eduardo Luna, who does a lot of research around ayahuasca, just sent me dozens of letters Terence had written to him. I had already found 60 from Eduardo to Terence in the archive, ranging from 1972 to 1992. Usually, if you find an intense exchange between two people, it's about a 2-year blip. This is a 20-year arc that affected the trajectory of both of their lives. A quick little thought I'm having. We don't write letters anymore, do we? This isn't the age of letter writing. Can you imagine having stacks and stacks of letters that you had written? You write one to somebody and you even Xerox it for your own archive. We don't write letters. Some of this material, not to Clee, some of this material carries real emotional weight. There are days I sit down to go through a box and I don't know how it's going to make me feel. I think of mourning as something that happens in the immediate aftermath of someone's death, about accepting and letting go. But grieving feels like maybe it's never done. It's letting yourself feel the loss. And in this case, getting to know someone through the parts of their lives that you did not get to witness. What do you think people got wrong about Terence? What are you hoping the archives can clarify or reveal? Clee replies, I wouldn't really put it as people getting things wrong, but people who were his fans in the 90s know a different version of him than people who discovered him online in the last 25 years. Internet culture has fragmented his body of work into sound bites and repackaged them with a certain aesthetic. His original ideas are weird enough that you don't need trippy AI fractals layered over them. The ideas themselves are what can stretch your mind. I see that outdated aesthetic as a barrier to entry. If I weren't his daughter and someone sent me one of his talks on YouTube, I'd think this isn't for me. I'm hoping to offer a counterpoint to that way of presenting his work. I'd also like to highlight his ideas on themes beyond psychedelics, such as creativity, the role of the artist, history and time, and the human relationship to nature. Some people see me as an outsider because I haven't participated in the psychedelic scene for 25 years. But I never stopped taking psychedelics, and I never stopped being close with my family. In anthropology, they call that a participant observer. When you have a foot in both worlds, And you can see patterns that you might not if you're totally immersed in either of them. Or there ideas Terence wrote or spoke about that you disagree with? Where would you push back on his work? Are any of you finding this interesting? Give me 5 people that are finding this really interesting. Can you imagine going through your mythological father's words and writings and recordings and getting to know a completely different side of him? This is pretty interesting. I thought you guys would enjoy this morning. So what were some of the ideas that Clee disagreed with? Where would she push back on the work? Clee says, there are flaws in ideas worth being honest about. The time wave zero theory is an obvious one. The philosophical principle it's built on, novelty as a driving force of history, a pattern that's repeating but expanding, still rings true to me. But he should have kept it as a philosophy. He was out of his depth trying to make it into a mathematical prediction tool. And with True Hallucinations, it's a book he wrote, which I think is one of his best works, the lack of awareness of the indigenous people's subjectivity is bizarre to me. He refers to the Witoto and their plants and their practices, but there's not one individual with any character development who is a Witoto. So that's like a colonial lens that he was looking through and hadn't really examined. On a more personal level, growing up, we were taught that no matter what you do, just don't be normal. That's the only crime. Go out in a blaze of glory or genius, but God forbid you just get married and buy a house and be a working stiff. That isn't a healthy pressure to put on your children. One would hope the primary desire you have for your kids is that they're happy or they find meaning in their lives. I've had to unlearn that alienation in order to feel satisfied with my own life choices. But I have a lot of compassion for my parents' shortcomings now, particularly for creative people with rich inner life. There's a feeling that your real life is your interior world, and the mundane tasks of parenting are taking you away from that. Both my parents struggled with it. It took me becoming a parent and a working artist at the same time to understand how much tension there can be between your inner and outer lives. You've mentioned new publications and collaborations coming. What are you most excited about releasing? Clee replies, near term, we have a podcast coming where we'll play tracks from the audio archive. Some will be familiar talks, and others will be lesser known material like field recordings and intimate conversations with friends that haven't been made public. When we share the podcast via YouTube, that raises the question of what visuals to pair with it. And to me, that's right for inviting artists to contribute. It's a curatorial project that could elicit some new visual interpretations. Midterm, I want to publish a series of slim editions organized around the primary themes in Terence's work, which could be transcribed and edited from his spoken talks. I think pulling out these threads retrospectively and presenting them as primers would benefit the work and offer an entry point to some of his lesser known ideas. The project I'm most excited about is a beautiful art book. I'm envisioning a visual biography illustrated with material from the archive. It would include old photos, letters, notes, and manuscripts, all presented in their original form. I'm a huge sucker for the way material ages. Old letters that are folded, ink that's bled through, stains on the paper. In a way, that's what this whole project is about. Choosing which pieces are preserved and which stories get told. Our long-term goal is to find a forever home for this material in an institutional archive where it can be preserved and shared. As the role of psychedelics in our culture changes, these characters that were once on the fringe are becoming the history of a mainstream phenomenon. Archives act as an official form of memory. They are how events and peoples are written into our collective history. Terence McKenna Archive. Coming soon. How do you like that? You know what? PTFS fan. Next time you want to kind of make fun of a guy who doesn't take it personal, spell the word colonel correctly. Just a thought. Just a thought out there. Okay? Next time you want to jump on and say something, maybe spell the word correctly. Or don't. It doesn't matter. Okay? I don't take you guys personal. Boy, did I used to. The 60 was a troller. Well, I mean, come on. Anybody should know how to spell colonel. Get out of here. I'm being a jerk back. I apologize. 66th verse of the Tao Te Ching. It's a gorgeous verse. Gorgeous verse. Let's jump right into it. Okay? Let's jump right into it. It always cracks me up, people that have never been here before, first time they see, and they have to have something just negative or mean to say. And I'm like, why? Why? Hang around a little bit. Let's just listen and see if there's something in there before I have to jump in and say something. The good news is what we learned here through the second agreement is to not take it personal. And don't do what Pops just did and fire back. But mine had a little trying to be humorous in there, not trying to be hurtful in any way, and I apologize if it came across that way. Okay. It's an attention. That's what it is, Wazzy. They need attention. Aww. Well, let's give them some. Oh, I already did. 66th verse of the Tao Te Ching. Why is the sea king of 100 streams? Because it lies below them. Humility gives it its power. The sea lies below the rivers that flow into it, right? And the sea is the king. Therefore, those desiring a position above others must speak humbly. Those desiring to lead must follow. Thus it is said that when a sage stands above the people, they do not feel the heaviness of his weight. And when he stands in front of the people, they do not feel hurt. The sage stays low, so the world never tires of exalting him. He remains a servant, so the world never tires of making him its king. Live by emulating the sea. Unlike the perception of God as an old white man who created a universe where your behavior may cause you to be sentenced to damnation for eternity, the Tao is perceived as a natural energy. The source of life, isn't seen as a deity monitoring earthlings like a king or dictator, since it doesn't dole out punishments or withhold rewards. Lao Tzu taught that the Tao only asks for us to live in harmony with nature. For Lao Tzu, nature's greatest symbol is water, and he refers to it in many of the 81 passages. When you emulate that element, you'll begin to see that judgment and exclusion have no place in the Tao. Be like the sea, advises Lao Tzu, and the world will never tire of exalting you. The essential message presented in this verse, and many others of the Tao Te Ching, is that the ocean is king of all, because it knows to stay low. All streams must ultimately flow to the sea, and in this process, it becomes a servant to all. The teachings here are clear. Be humble. Never put yourself above others or see yourself as superior to anyone else. The highest power is a yielding valley. Become a servant, not a dominator. When even the tiniest waterways are left alone, they uniquely carve out a path that leads them to the sea. And the great ocean never lords its greatness and power over the rivers and streams. It doesn't rise above them and demand devotion, nor does it threaten them with punishment or extinction if they refuse to cooperate. The sea knows instinctively that the streams and rivers will naturally gravitate towards that which stays low. Give me 5 people that are getting this. It's beautiful. We have a little more to cover, but isn't that right? Can you not sense the virtue in that? Isn't that something? Live like the sea. Stuff will naturally gravitate. No judgment, no power, no domination. Using this metaphor throughout the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu reminds you that people also tend to instinctively draw towards those with intrinsic majesty. That majesty emerges from humility and staying low. I am drawn towards monks and people who live an aesthetic lifestyle, meaning don't care a thing about material things. I am instinctively drawn to them. I haven't practiced a life like that. I try more and more now. I'm practicing. But I'm instinctively drawn to holy, humble men and women. They don't ask for any of my attention. I willingly surrender it. This position isn't uniquely held by the Grand Master. Peter, a servant and an apostle of Jesus Christ, offers an almost identical message in the New Testament, centuries after the death of Lao Tzu. Here it is. Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, serving as overseers, not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be. Not greedy for money, but eager to serve. Not lording it over those who are entrusted to you, but by being examples to the flock. That's in 1 Peter chapter 5. We don't often use scripture here, but people were instinctively drawn to the character of Jesus Christ in his worldly walk. The most humble man, one pair of sandals, one cloak, and he reached out to everyone, lording nothing over the people that he walked among. The same thing with other holy sages. Muhammad lived that same type of lifestyle. Buddha lived that same type of lifestyle. Mahatma Gandhi, same type of lifestyle. I would venture to say our last Pope, Pope Francis, same type of lifestyle. A man who did nothing but serve. He was probably the humblest of the cardinals, and they raised him up. And it never went to his head. He never went and lived in the papal palaces. He lived in the lowly little apartments that were set aside for visitors. And he continued to live a life of service, spreading a message that never judged, but just preached love and kindness. Be shepherds of your flock, the flock that's been entrusted to you. We all have a flock. Every one of us. We have flocks of our children, our mates, the people that we come in contact with daily. We all have a flock. How do you approach, how do you treat your flock? With dominion or humility? Change the way you think about yourself. Change the way you think about yourself and others as model leaders by looking to the massive life-giving sea, who's patient and accepting and lower than all the streams that flow into it. Then, imitate that water power yourself by suspending your ego and releasing the need to lord anything over anybody. The people you're entrusted to lead will gravitate to you in the watercourse way. You're advised to learn from the way water behaves and imitate it as much as you can in your life. Here are ways to apply the wisdom of emulating the sea in your life today. Wait for this one. Agreement number 3. Agreement number 3. Never assume that you know what's best. Never assume that you know what's best. Even if you're older, wiser, and, excuse me, let me turn this off. Okay. Even if you're older, wiser, and richer than others, and have more influence and power, never assume that you know what's best for anyone. Instead, imagine yourself as the great ocean that allows and encourages the smaller streams to come to you. Stay low, speak softly, and remain humble. And let others be in control of their lives as much as is humanly possible. By seeing yourself as the all-receiving sea, you remove your ego from the picture and thus become like one of the leaders referred to in this verse of the Tao Te Ching. No one should feel the heaviness of your directions or be hurt by your instructions. Here's an example Dr. Dyer uses. A situation that allowed me to implement this advice occurred to me. I live on Maui, and my 90-year-old mother is in Florida, where my daughter Sahe also resides. My mother was experiencing a stomach ache and nausea from some strong medication she'd taken. So I phoned my daughter to see if she had any suggestions for getting some yogurt to her. Sahe's immediate response is, "We have some yogurt right here. I'll take it over to Grandma's." So rather than having given her an order and instructing her to tend to her grandmother, I allowed my daughter to be of service while I stayed in the lowest place possible. Just a suggestion. A kind suggestion. It didn't take, "Go take care of her." It took, "I wonder if yogurt would help. I have yogurt here right now. Let me take it over to her." You've just allowed someone else to be in service. Always remain a servant. See yourself as someone who's put on this planet to assist others. What's my meaning in life? What am I supposed to be? My meaning in life is to assist others. What am I supposed to be? I'm supposed to be like the sea. Look for opportunities to be of aid, particularly to those who need your leadership. Remember that the great sea serves everyone by being a life-supporting receiver of all those who wish to partake of her bounty. So practice emulating this by expressing the Tao, natural energy. Let's talk about how we can do the Tao now. Let's do the Tao now. Dedicate a day to leading by serving, as opposed to giving orders. Try this in your home. Try this in your home. Don't give an order today. Just be in your home to do nothing but serve. How can I help you? The most fulfilling relationship I've ever had. I was dating with and living with a beautiful lady. And we literally had a habit that I don't even know exactly how it started. And we remain incredibly close friends to this day. the culture of our home. First thing in the morning, literally the first thing. Good morning, honey. Yeah, Captain Obvious, that's who. Good morning, dear. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, handsome. We'd say. And the very next words, like our mantra, is there anything I can do for you today? And be very sincere when you ask that question. And be prepared to do what they asked. Yeah, you know what? I needed to get 3 books back to the library, and I just don't have time today. Do you think you could do that? Yeah. I gotta drop off a bunch of stuff over. I gotta make 3 phone calls, but I don't want to. Could you make them for me? And then many times there's like, I don't have anything on my mind right now, but if I think of something, I'll let you know. You start out your day with an act of service, a sincere act, and you may not be asked to do anything for that person that day. You may not. But you woke up with a willingness to do it, a sincere willingness. How hard is it going to be to fight with that person that day? Remember when you told me that you wanted to find out if there's anything you could do for me? You don't fight. You don't argue. You grease the friction. A simple question first, excuse me, first thing in the morning, after making a declaration of kindness. You look great this morning. Hello, beautiful. Hello, handsome. Is there anything, no. Is there anything I can do for you? No. Is there anything I can do for you? Can you imagine that? Think of it. Try it. Try it in your relationship. Don't expect the other person, because we're not going to have an expectation or an assumption. Number 3, agreement. Don't assume they're going to say it back. You're the one. You're the servant. You ask, is there anything I can do for you today? Can you imagine asking that of your children? Hey, little Billy, is there anything I can do for you today? Instead of telling Billy, did you do your homework? Ask him if there's anything you can do for him. Can you give me 5 people that could understand that would be a different dynamic in a home than the average? Than some of the homes you've been a witness to? Would that be a different dynamic? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Try it. Turn it into your practice. I promise you from experience that you develop the richest relationship. And don't be afraid. Oh, they're actually going to ask me to do something, then I have to do it. You want to do it. You want the stream to flow into you. You're the seed. You want every stream to flow into you. You're the seed. Do you get it? Please say you get it. Dedicate a day to leading by serving, as opposed to giving orders. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Find an occasion. Thank you, Merlin. Find occasions to stifle your learned habit of interfering and telling others what to do, and allow them to flow to you instead. Commit. Commit to this principle further by encouraging someone to make the decisions rather than following your orders. Well, I don't know, Billy. What do you think would be the best thing to do in this situation? What do you think? I'd love to see you make this decision. I'd love that. Young daughter, young son. I'm not going to be your dictator today. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to allow you to make that decision. And I'm going to trust that you're going to make the best decision. And when you don't, a small period of instruction follows. Not judgment, but instruction. Sometimes from your own experience. Oh, I see what happened when you made that decision. My experience is this, when I've made that same decision. I might suggest these 3 different options in the future. There's such a better way to talk to each other and treat each other. And this isn't just your home. This is your workplace. This is your volunteer space. This is to the neighbor and to the person that you're standing behind in line or standing in front of in line. I feel so good. It's a silly little act, but if I see somebody, they have a bigger shopping cart than I do. There's more in their shopping cart than mine. You know what I often find myself doing? Saying, go ahead of me. Most people are the opposite. They'll let someone go in front of them if they have less items. Try the person that has more items. I already know it's going to take them longer to load it into their car, unload it, get it home, unload it, sort it all out. I know they spent more money than I did. I know they probably have a bigger obligation than I do. Go in front of me. And they look at you like you got 2 heads. What? But you have less items than I do. You don't tell them this out loud, but you say inside, I am the sea. And you're a stream. Thank you guys. Thanks for today. It's a beautiful message. It's one of my favorite passages in the Tao Te Ching right there. Reminding me, I'm talking to myself here, more humility. Be more of a servant. I've always preached here servant leadership because I fully and completely, in my constitution, the way I'm built and how I think, I know it's true. But the humility part is a part that I gotta keep practicing. I'm gonna go find a bunch of streams today. How about you guys? Anybody gonna go get a stream today? Find a stream to serve? See, McKinney took a couple people, 5 people. I'm gonna find a way to serve today in my home somewhere. I am. I'm gonna go find some streams today. I'm not gonna tell them, but I'm gonna be the sea. Four things that I leave you with are 4 agreements. The 4 agreements, which we're gonna be restudying soon. Okay? Be impeccable with your word. There you go, Ozzy. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personal. Anything. Anybody or anything. The sea does not take things personal. It just is. It just is lower and serves. Don't make assumptions. And then do your best. Today you will. Today you're going to do your best because you have this message very clear in your mind today. Very clear to be a humble servant today. Okay. You guys have a beautiful, wonderful, fantastic day. And we'll be here tomorrow. Studying and learning and laughing and loving together. Let me scroll you guys out of here. You bunch of oceans. You guys are a bunch of oceans. That's what you are. Mike Barabal, the handsome Mike Barabal. Joey D's, always hopeful. Captain Obvious, as pretty as she could be, and as kind as she could be. Jesus Christ, thank goodness we didn't have to put him in the reflection pool today. Kimberly, good morning. There's somebody that does a lot of serving. Serves students all the time. Joey Nipper, that's so kind. Thank you, Nippy. Thank you. I bet you Ava's getting good parenting. Mello, good morning. Jamaica on. Derek Anderson, serving Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, along with HB and Nerdy at Mystic Journeys Church. And then Derek also does a program on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same channel, but he's usually lately he's been going through the Psalms. And Derek, just listening to him is a form of service. Derek Anderson, Nippy, where else we had? Bud, good morning, Bud. You're always welcome, Captain. Sammy P. Sammy, I'm watching you grow, bro. Lynette, good morning. Gypsy Life, I love to see Gypsy and Preston here. Gosh, Preston sounds beautiful on that flute. I gotta tell you, Gypsy, I'm sure you love it. Exception, good morning. And Wazzy. Waz is out there doing his thing. Hurdy von Wordy Kabop. I have to stop saying the broken Furby. I used to say hurdy Caberty, broken Furby. You're not a broken Furby. I need to stop saying that. I'm going to stop to the best of my ability. There's nothing broken about Herbie. Okay? Pops, choose your words a lot wisely. And then Mr. Marmars is going to be doing his best. Thank you. You too, Captain Obvious. Canito, good morning, good man. Lynette, thank you. Merlin, thank you. And Vegas, there's my Vaggie. Good morning, Vags. And who else we have here? Let's see. Cyber Jolie. Good morning, Cyber. Serving her building. She's starting her meetings up there, her support group. Ronnie Real, keeping it real, all the way real. Zozo LSD, all the way. Laura, have a divine day, a very divine day. You are a divine creature. Classic. And Omar. Good morning, Omar. Are you calling me Four Eyes? I only have two, but I am wearing glasses. So, that's a form of eyes, perhaps. Gypsy and Kimberly and Wazzy and Nippy. You're welcome, Gyps. And Nersy. Caw-caw, caw-caw. Gives me a reason to be an eagle this morning. And then, who else do we have here? Nerds. Thank you, guys. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Servants, be the sea today. And let the streams flow unto you. Pops, peace, love, and service. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Pops out.